So at the end, time to clean up. Let's take a look at how to clean our brushes. First off, we'll just scrape our day's paint off. Little rubbing alcohol. Clean the paint off the palette so that we have a clean surface to clean our brushes on. I use Murphy's Oil Soap and keep solvents out of the studio. My dirty brush, then, I just work it in, and I do press down to kind of spread the bristles apart. Let that soap get in there and break up and dissolve and clean all that paint all the way down to the ferrule. Then again, you're going to start here, squeeze. I do this inside not to make a mess, and pull. And repeat until nothing else comes out. And then once it's clean, I've got it all out of there, nothing else coming out of the paper towel. A last squeeze. So now we're going to take this into the sink and clean it with a brush cleaner. Okay, you can wipe up the Murphy's Oil Soap. And finally, after you've wiped up the soap, don't forget to clean your palette again. Again, palette hygiene is very important, especially as you're starting out. We need to keep our thoughts clear and our palettes clear. So after you've cleaned your brushes with the oil soap, I use the Masters brush cleaner. Get the soap a little bit wet, get the brush a little bit wet on your work. And you'll see just a little bit more will come out. Clean that up, that'll clean all of it out. But that's the process. Nothing else is coming out. Okay, and I rinse it all out. And again, try to squeeze all that water out of there. Then the last step is I'm going to come back to my brush soap and just put a little bit onto the brush. And then gently, I'm not squeezing this time, just any excess liquid. And then with a little bit, I didn't get quite enough, so I'm going to put a little more soap in there. Took too much off the paper towel. But then, and your brushes will stay good for a long time if you do that. And they'll be ready to go next time. When you start, it'll be a little bit stiff. And what you'll have to do is just bend the brushes and they'll kind of spring and you'll see this dust come off of it. That's just the soap. So just clean that off. That way before you paint next time and you're good to go. To clean the palette, I use isopropyl alcohol, paper towels, and then a scraper is good. If you don't let your paint dry, if you clean up right after you're done painting, it'll be much easier. I've been at another studio for a couple of days, so this paint has been set up, so it's going to be a little stiffer. But I thought that would be good to show you guys in case you ever left your paint and it got dry and sticky. Again, if you're working on a paper palette, this is solved. You simply throw it away. But with my palette knife, I'm going to scrape up what I can get. As you can see, it's dry. Now, if this was all wet, this would just come right up, and clean up is much, much easier. But life isn't always neat and clean, so sometimes things get left. This is still a little bit wet. That's still a little bit wet. My medium. Okay, so we take the alcohol. I simply put it on there. These are probably going to come right up, but some of this dry paint, if we'll just let the alcohol sit on it for a second, and it might take you a few times to do this, depending on how dry the paint and how thick the paint, but this is simply the process. Take our straight edge. As long as the glass is wet, like the alcohol's on here, you won't scrape the glass. But if you do dry on dry, that's where you can scrape up your glass. So this is coming up pretty easy. Little alcohol, giving it a little time. And I think glass is much easier to clean than wood, personally. So it just simplifies everything. And make sure you give it 1 or 2 final wipes. If not, the next time you work on this, that gook you left behind might find its way into your painting by graying off colors. That's the #1 problem, I think, with people without very much experience, is not being disciplined on where their paint is. So they'll leave a little color in when they go for another color. They haven't cleaned their brush, or they haven't cleaned their palette. So those things are easy, so let's just do that. So a nice clean palette. That's all there is to it.